Great.
Billy, are you there?
Billy's muted.
I think he may have stepped away. Oh, there he is.
I started punching buttons, and Lord knows the screen turned upside down and everything else. So anyway, well, welcome everyone. We're glad you're here. Jim, I know we have an agenda, but you probably have one printed where you could actually start us off and we could do that.
Well, let me pull it up on the screen here just a second. Let's see, how do I get to it? I'm not sure. Hang on, folks, I'm going to be right with you.
You want me to pull it up, Jim?
You got it? Yeah, that'd be
First
great.
thing is the ritual reading.
Activate. Start sharing now.
There we go. Okay, we're going to do our reading, which we came up with a long time ago. We've changed it up some. Well, this, you'll have to send it down when we, can you pull it down a little bit there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get the ritual up. It's too far down.
Oh, you mean scroll down?
I mean, scroll down. That's it right there. Yeah, perfect. Okay, Billy, can you see it?
I can.
Well, you be the leader, please. And the rest of us
right.
will join in all, okay?
I will do it. What is the nature of this meeting?
We are here to remember
Sherlock Holmes.
And what group is this?
We are the national scholars of the three-pipe album.
By what authority do you come by that name?
From John James, our founder in 1979.
What is a three-pipe problem?
A dilemma that requires three puzzles to solve. In the red-headed league, Dr. Watson asked Holmes what he planned to do given a problem.
To smoke. The more bizarre thing is, the less mysterious it proves to be.
It is quite
a three-pipe problem.
Thank you. We are so coordinated, and in person we do a little better, but hey, I'm just glad we're doing this at all. So thank you all.
That sounds like a 10-pipe problem to me. I don't know.
There's an echo.
Dean, you're right, buddy. You are right. Well, why don't we take a minute? Do we have any, I know we've got some folks it's the first time on with us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I guess that's me, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe there may be others.
I'm Kathy Carbone. I just moved to Chattanooga about 2 months ago. And in the past, I've been a member of the Red Circle when I lived near DC, and Watson's Tin Box, which is near DC as well. And I participated a bit in Phoenix, where I just moved from, in another one. It's not a Scion approved yet, but it's a Sherlock Holmes group. And I just thought, since I moved, I would take a look around and see what groups are available and see if I could join in.
Well, you are most welcome. I assume you were forced to associate with our friend Peter Blau if you were at the Red Circle in Washington.
Absolutely, I adore Peter.
He is a remarkable individual.
He really is. He really is.
Well, you are more than welcome. You be with us when you can. We need to make sure we get your email so we can get you on the email list, but you're very welcome to be here. Is there anyone else that's with us for the first time?
Can I ask folks to please mute yourself unless you're speaking to the meeting?
Folks, we had a request. If you're not speaking, please mute. Is there anyone else?
Show and tell.
Oh, I'm ready for show and tell. So, folks, this part of our meeting is when you have something that we need to see or you need to tell us. So, as Jim says, show and tell.
let's have Alex introduce himself. Alex, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Aleš Kolodrubec. I'm from the Czech Republic. I'm the president and founder of the Czech Society of Sherlock Holmes. I used to live in Prague, but now I live in Moravia, that's eastern Prague of the Czech Republic. Now I am for a short time in the North Bohemia. I have just returned from a slow pipe smoking competition. Not 3 pipes, but only 3 grams of tobacco.
Very nice.
I'm
wonderful.
glad to be here. Thanks, Jim, for inviting me.
Alice is, he's on Facebook a lot, and he also sends messages. He's a really neat guy. I'm so glad you've joined us today. It's really nice to have these international friends.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can't ever tell when we might show up.
We even had a guy from Alabama. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Billy. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I was just going to say, you can't ever tell when we might show up in the Czech Republic. So we're glad you're here. We need friends around the world. Is there anyone else? I don't have the full list up in front of me. Jim, Jeff, is there anybody I've missed?
Olivia Kirkendall.
Hi, my apologies for being late. I had to take a phone call. But I'm from Kansas City, and I don't think I've ever been to a Nashville meeting before. Trying to fill out that Legion of Zoom card.
Well, we're glad we can help you punch that card.
Mm-hmm.
Are
Yes,
you
sir.
a friend of Dan Payton?
I probably have seen him a time or two in chats before. I wouldn't
Yeah,
be
okay.
surprised if.
We're going to be talking a little bit about John Bennett Shaw, and he was very involved in Kansas City and the Scion there. He didn't have one in Tulsa for a long time, so he went to the one in Kansas for years. And we'll be talking about that later too. Nice to have you. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to be here. And I did not know that. That's really cool. I'll have to do some more research into that.
Yeah, good.
Well, all right.
Yeah. Okay. And Sonia, I can't pronounce your last name. I apologize.
Is that Featherston?
Are you there, Sonia? Sonia may have stepped away.
Okay.
Well, all right. Well, we'll get her back in here in a little bit. Well, if that's our group, we're glad everyone is here. We'll go straight over to show and tell. As I said, that's a place for you to share. You know, if you found some memorabilia, some Sherlockiana, or just need to say something, now's a good time. So just it's more challenging online, I think, in some ways, but it's easier in others. So we'll just take it, and we'll be respectful. And whoever wants to go first, go right ahead.
So, Billy, let me give a brief report from the BSI meetings in New York. I'll ask Mason to do this, but he and Cindy are at a wedding today, and so he couldn't do that. Let's go. Frank Cho is a famous comic illustrator, and he does the program each year for the BSI. He signed this right there. Anyway, this is what the program looks like. And on the back is something that David Hayes will be glad to know about, and it's the Musgrave Ritual. They always read this during the meeting. Our friend Stephen Doyle publishes the Sherlock Holmes Review, and this is the newest one out. I've written a piece or two for it, and it's really excellent. This is all about the first Granada Sherlock Holmes, you know, the Granada series with Jeremy Brett, and it's wonderfully done. So I want to encourage you all to look at this. You can get this online at Wessex Press. He has also published this wonderful piece. There's a lot of reflection there, but this is the canonical cornerstones, and it's about the books that you should know about. It's not John Shaw's 100 books to collect, but is about the basics of your Sherlock Holmes library, the things you really need. And it's a wonderful book. It's just great. Rob Nunn, who is in charge of the parallel case in St. Louis, and his friend Peter Eckridge, put out a good book each year. This is the newest one. I love it. And don't forget that they asked me to edit the Baker Street Journal Annual for this year. And it's all about John Shaw. Wonderful writing in there. We had a lot of nice comments about it. And it absolutely is the peak of my writing career. I wrote a little piece in there, but it doesn't hold a candle to all the other 9 authors that have written about it. So this is not available. You can't go buy it. It has to be with a subscription. But those are the pieces that I wanted to share with you. Let's see. I think. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hawkins. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jim, are you going to, a little bit later, will you be able to give us a report on just the general New York trip?
Sure, I can do that now. It was actually a feast. You see Steve Mason up there. Well, I met Steve and Russ and several others, Rich Krishunas, I can't remember who, Rob Nunn. We all went to McSorley's. I just cannot go to New York and not go to McSorley's. It's probably the 5th oldest bar, not the oldest one, but it's 1854. And it's where all the Sherlockians gather, particularly if they go to Otto Penzler's Mysterious Books, his open house. And then once that's done, there were 5 or 6 of us around the table. Then suddenly there were 40 other people there, and they were all Sherlockians. It's a great place. So I went there, and if you know Otto Penzler, Otto got the 2 Shilling Award this year. It's just for service above and beyond basic, BSI guy. He has done so much for us. He always had an open house, and Billy used to go over
At
there.
the Mysterious Bookshop.
Yeah, Mysterious Bookshop. Billy and Otto are good pals, and I think Billy sent about $400 or $500 worth of books home every year he was up there. Oh, I'm sorry, Donna. Did you hear that? Surely not.
She heard it. She's sitting right here beside me.
Okay, well, there you go. Sorry. But Otto's the kindest man in New York, and he always does a great job for the Sherlockians. Another friend of Billy Fields is Curtis Armstrong, and Curtis was the main speaker for the evening. His speech was just wonderful because he compared it to B movies, A movies, B movies, and he said the crooks in Sherlock Holmes, they're sort of on 2 levels. They're on the top shelf, Moriarty and his bunch, and then you move down to the B level. And he talked about that, and it just cracked everybody up. It was just wonderful. And then following that was some good new friends of mine, Ray Betzner, Stephen Doyle, and Steve Rothman. And they spoke about the 1934, the beginning of the BSI, and the inclusion of Vincent Sterrett and Alex Walcott. So it was very entertaining. So it was a good evening. And I sat by Jeff Decker. Jeff is one of the writers in the Christmas Annual, and he did a lot of illustrations for John Shaw in his day, and you'll see some of those later today. All right, that's all from me. I've taken up too much time already.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So I think Alan Barksdale.
Yeah,
Well-
well, oh yeah, I was just going to say, since y'all are doing show and tell, I would bring up something. I'm Alan Barksdale from Madison, Alabama, surrounded by Huntsville. And although it's now in abeyance, I was Tantalus of the Greek interpreters of Athens, ... Alabama. Our gasogene, John Davis, who's been in poor health recently, is one of the contributors to this, which I was given for, let's see if I better, can I get this in a way that it shows up? Doesn't show up very well. After the East Wind Blows, World War I and the Roaring 20s Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, from somebody you should be familiar with, Belanger Books. And anyway, quite liked it. And it's, as you might expect, it's reference to World War I. The east wind that's coming that we learn about in the His Last Bow. And particularly liked it because I knew somebody wrote something in it. So just brought that up as my show and tell.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other hands raised or anybody else wants to speak or have something to share?
Sure, I've got one. This is Tom Vikstrom. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can't
Okay.
see. Oh, there you are. Okay, good. Yeah.
I'm having just a great time reading this for the first time, and it is described as a 1827 publication, republished, comprised of the first detective stories of London. And the character, the fictional character, is named Richmond, and he is is it Bow Street or Bow Street detective,
Not sure.
which were the forerunners of the London police force in real life. But it's a great little collection of stories, really fun to read. And I just have to wonder, did Arthur Conan Doyle perhaps read these when he was a young man? Might have inspired him to write his detective stories.
Mm-hmm.
That looks neat. I've never heard of that one.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a series of crimes, including kidnappers, murderers, grand swindlers, loose women, thugs, cheats, resurrection men, and other scoundrels and scallywags of the underworld of the 1820s. So,
Wow.
yeah, fun. Glad to let
I like
anybody
it.
like. It probably can be found on Abe Book or other places.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Others?
Steve
Boy.
Mason had his hand raised. If I can find him to spotlight him.
Does Besser have his hand up over there? Okay. Okay.
I'm right here, Jeff.
Yeah, go
There
ahead.
you are, up in the corner.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Yeah, I did want to show that our society, the Crew of the Bark Lone Star, just put out our 8th book, and it's called Hometown Homes. We invited members from all over the country to write a pastiche about a true crime or a real crime that occurred in their hometown area that Holmes might have come over and helped solve. And we ended up with 26 different people that provided a pastiche. And we are very excited that there were 3 10-year-old kids that actually wrote pastiches also for it. So we are trying to get the younger generation involved. You can buy the book if you want on Barnes and Noble. Just go to Barnes and Noble and either look at Hometown Homes or the Crew of the Bark Lone Star. All of our books are on there. We sell them at cost. There's no profit at all. So I think it's like $7.40. Or you can go to our website, and all of our books are PDF files that you can just download for free if you are interested in doing that. We will be doing a 9th book, and we invite any Sherlockian that would like to participate, and it's going to be called Mr. Holmes's Neighborhood, and it's going to be stories about people that either lived next to 221 or on Baker Street, or maybe the commissioner that delivered stuff, or the telegram kid, or Billy the page, anybody that had to deal with what all went on at 221, in their lives, you can write a story about it. And if you submit one and we put it in our book, which we always put everybody's stories in, you will get a copy of the book for free as a thank you to us. So you can email me if you're interested in doing that.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Steve, let me ask you, did you do the Limerick book? Was that your publication?
Yeah, we did one called The Canon 5 Lines at a Time, and we invited many, many people, including our resident limmerist, Sandy Cozen, and so we had many, many people that submitted limericks for all the stories.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that Sandy's with us this morning from New Jersey, and she has 2 limericks about the second stain once we're done with the presentation. So stand by.
Well, that's great. Other show and tell. Well, I have one tale. I think the folks in Nashville know, but I've been trying to retire for years. In fact, we keep saying I'm going to retire, and then we have a party, then I don't retire. But now this time, I think it's really going to happen on Groundhog Day.
Wow.
Well, one of the things that
Unless
I'm
you
way
see your
behind
shadow.
is, as many of you know, I'm behind reading, as we all are. One of the treasures that I'd never taken the time to get, but it's one of my, everybody has a daily meditation to do. And I decided that David Markham, who is one of our members and not with us today, I don't think, but he has a wondrous life project of gathering pastiches. And for whatever reason, I never got volume 1. Well, this year, my wife, Donna, was able to find number 1 for me. And because I've just never got around to collecting them. So I said, well, we will start with 1 and we'll go through. By the time I get them read, they'll probably be 1,500. But I wanted to brag on Donna for being able to find it. She did have to search for it a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can start catching up. So that would be my tale for the day. So thank you all for showing and telling. Anything else before we move on to the next subject?
Let me just jump in and say that Markham's books with Emmix Publishers have raised over $100,000 for the Stepping Stone School where Conan Doyle used to live in Undershaw. And that's a worthy project. He gets all these people to write for him. I never have, maybe I will this year. But all the money goes to this wonderful project in Sussex, so or wherever it is, Surrey, I think it is. But anyway, that's really wonderful to do that kind of work, and I think we could support him more. Some of us don't like pastiches; we're not into it, but that kind of effort is really good, and I commend David for that. Thank you.
He does. He makes us proud.
Yeah.
What was that, Gail?
Huh?
I said you had said something and I spoke over you. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I said thanks.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, all right. Jim, are we ready for our presentation today now on our agenda?
I think we are ready. Let me look at the agenda here, and it says Jeff Stewart, discussion leader at noon. What time we got? Oh my goodness, it's noon. Let's go.
All right, give me just a moment to get it set up and then I'll share it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hit play. And hit share. And folks, can you see the
Yes, we see it.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So we'll start out. It was published in the Strand magazine in December 1904. The second stain, of course, being the story that we're talking about. And so I just pulled a copy of the image of the Strand magazine cover for that edition. And you can see they, like us this year, had a snowy year, or at least the cover seemed to indicate they did. Also pulled from the web, you can see Paget's illustration for this story. And for those of you that have kept up on the reading, or maybe viewed a video production of it, you can see Paget's interpretation of how Holmes was reaching into what would turn out to be the empty hidden spot in the floor. So literary timeline is what I want to address first for the second stain. It was likely written in 1903 or 1904. It was published, as I said, in December edition of Strand in 1904. And then it also appeared in Collier's in the U.S. in 1905. So once again, our information of Sherlock was late in the U.S. Wanted to note that the story was included in the collection of The Return of Sherlock Holmes, which was also published in 1905. And then Dole, in a 1927 interview with Strand Magazine, includes Second Stain as number 8 in his list of 12 favorites, which is, we'll get into that just a little bit, and some of the interesting facts about that. 1903 and 1904, they were busy years for Dole. He wrote in a letter to his mother, Mary, on January 1st, 1904, that 1903, 13 stories and a play, says it was my greatest year so far. And so that shows you not all those 13 that he wrote in 1903 were necessarily Holmes stories, even though there were 13 in the collection, The Return of Sherlock Holmes, which is part of. But he was also very busy with some other stories. In particular, there were 4 stories that came out in 1903, 1904 timeframe for Brigadier Gerard, which is one of his other characters. 1903, The Leather Funnel came out, which we've discussed Dean's Lettuce on in an October session in the past. And he was involved in some local politics at the time. Not so much campaigning, because he did stand for Parliament in 1905, I think it was, but he was giving speeches in 1903 and 1904. The canon timeline is a bit different. It's a bit of a mystery. Watson tells us that the year and the decade were to stay unnamed to protect some of the folks, first families of the kingdom. And we know it did happen earlier in Holmes's career than the other stories that were coming out at this time. But we don't know exactly when. And there's some argument that Gould Baring points out about July versus August. In the naval treaty, Conan Doyle mentions the second stain, a adventure of a second stain, but he puts it in July before his marriage, and what we're getting in the story is that it was in the fall or the autumn. He also mentions, when he mentions the second stain in the naval treaty, that it was before his marriage. You would think he would have been married by the fall, and in the story we get no sense that he's married. So one of the questions that we also have about the timeline is the first families that were there were actually, the reputation that was in danger, as we'll find out, was the reputation of one man, the European secretary. So the point of this is, in the timeline we're not certain, and there may possibly, according to some interpretations, be a second stain story that we don't actually have. So let me give a little recap before we start our quiz. I hope everyone did read the story like they were supposed to before the meeting. And I'll go very brief in this. So Holmes is disturbed one morning by the visitation of two ministers, the Prime Minister and the European Secretary. And the problem that they present him with is that a letter has been stolen from the possession of the European Secretary, Trelawney Hope, and that this letter was written by a foreign dignitary that had written it hastily, impulsively, and had said things that could inflame the British public. So it was desperate that this missing letter be found and returned to the possession of the government without the public becoming aware, which prohibit them from taking the matter to the police. Holmes balks at first, saying that there's just no way to capture it at this point. Events unfold, and Holmes does recover the letter and returns it in a discreet manner, which we'll get into a little bit more after the quiz. Don't want to give too much away. So with that, we'll proceed into the quiz. So just shout out the answers. Don't have to raise your hand. What is the centerpiece of the story? Kind of gave it away.
The second stain.
Second stain. I called it the missing letter.
Okay.
That's good.
But second stain, fair enough.
Everybody unmute, by the way, if you're going to answer, okay?
Yep. And who wrote the this missing letter?
A foreign potentate.
The Kaiser?
Kaiser
Maybe.
Wilhelm. Yeah.
So
Maybe
presumably Wilhelm II.
William II. William.
Exactly. Yeah, but we're never told in the story, but that is the interpretation. I like the word foreign potentate. And what does Holmes advise the ministers to prepare for? War. And they tell him that that's a hard saying. But he does so. He does want to tell them to prepare for war because they came to him after the letter's gone, and he feels like it has too much of a head start with very little to go on. There are only capable enough and bold enough, looking for a number here, in London. Three spies, if you want to call them spies. So Holmes shares this with Watson after the visitors have left, and he calls them out by name, and one of them catches Watson's attention. Why can't Holmes see this person?
Dead.
He is dead. He was murdered. And it's so, unless you want to get in Dole's belief in spiritualism, be hard to talk to the dead. So what fictional street, and this is how my mind works, I'm sorry, and fictional Disney college did Lucas live at?
Godolphin Street.
Godolphin Street.
Yeah.
Godolphin Street. And for those of you that are fans of the movie Blackbeard's Ghost, it was Godolphin College as well. All right. And what was Lucas slain with?
A knife.
Yeah.
At a dagger, the
trophy.
An Indian dagger.
Very good. Curved Indian dagger. And do you remember where the dagger was taken from?
Mantle?
The wall.
Yeah, he had a collection. Yeah, he had a collection on the wall. And who was he killed by?
His supposed wife.
Supposedly his Italian wife, yeah.
A jealous tenor.
His wife. And we might not know all this if it hadn't been witnessed by who?
Mrs. Hope.
Lady Hope.
Lady
Yeah.
Hilda. Yeah,
Lady Hilda.
absolutely. All right. And why was she even there? Why was she present?
Because he had a letter of hers.
She was
Yeah.
wanting to trade letters. Exactly. I see y'all are familiar with the story or you've read it, right? So who invited Holmes to view the murder scene?
Lestrade.
Lestrade. And, this is one of the things, this is almost accidental. If the rug, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but yeah, it's Lestrade. And why did he invite Holmes to view the murder scene?
He saw them wandering by outside, seemingly wandering by.
Seemingly wandering by and thought the stain would be right up Holmes's alley as far as the second stain. Yep. And what caused the second stain?
The blood of Lucas.
Moving the rug.
Movement of the rug. It was actually one pool of blood, but it got turned into two stains because somebody moved the rug. And who did move it?
Lady Hope.
I'll take Lady
Lady
Hope.
Hilda?
Yep. Lady Hope and Lady Hilda. If you had said the constable who put it back wrongly, I would have taken that too. Who led her?
Constable.
Constable McPherson. Okay. So I want to that's kind of our story in a nutshell. From there, Holmes takes it and figures out what happened. We're familiar with it, but there's a few plot gaps and some thoughts that I had about this. And the first was, it puts a lot of people in a bad light. Lady Hilda, who trades what, in my opinion, anybody of reasonable intelligence would realize, if your husband's a high-level diplomat, high-level minister, or European secretary, and somebody's trying to blackmail you for a letter, then it's going to be a letter of consequence. I find it hard to believe that anybody thinks they could take this and trade it for their personal need and not endanger a nation. So, before I go into Constable McPherson, any other thoughts on Lady Hilda?
Well, in truth, she was kept from his business. She really knew very little about what he was doing. So she probably didn't really understand the implications. It was like he carried this box of letters with a bunch of letters all the time. What made this one so special? The guy wanted it. And after all, if her letter came out, it would just ruin her. So she was panicky, and she was not the brightest of lamps.
Man, she could have been the brightest, huh?
Well, she was a living stereotype of the woman who understands the matters of the heart, but not the larger affairs of men.
Yeah.
Exactly, Alan.
Yeah. So let's go to Constable McPherson. You've been put on guard duty at this place with instructions that nobody's to go in and out. And what does Constable McPherson do? He lets this pretty lady in. So maybe
and then leaves her there
and leaves her there alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't put the Constable McPherson in a very good light. Any other observations on him?
He probably stays a constable for the rest of his service.
Right. I would agree with that.
Well, it may also be a class issue. She's obviously an upper class person.
Yeah.
And he's been trained to be deferential to such people.
True. And
What's the next step up from constable?
Rod.
Lestrade. I would think it would be a sergeant. Sergeant.
Would they be sergeant?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the final person, I could go on with some of the other characters, but I felt like this story really put Lestrade in a bad light. He's often given a obtuse role to play, but it's a murder scene, and Holmes and Watson just happen to be wandering by, and he has a second stain. but he doesn't deduce like, hey, somebody had to be in here and move it and go question the constable on his own before Sherlock, instructs him to. And then the final piece that made me feel like Lestrade was just lazy or obtuse in this is, as Holmes leaves, he shows a picture of Lady Hilda to Macpherson, who obviously shows surprise. Lestrade either doesn't pay attention and doesn't see any of this come about, or we're not told about any curiosity that he has about, if I were in Lestrade's shoes, I would be like, what did he show you, Macpherson? And then that would be a thread for me to want to pull on a bit more. So, well, how did he have a picture of the woman that showed up? But what's your thoughts on that?
The story doesn't really say how he got the picture, does it?
It was.
I missed that if he did.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if I'm getting it from the story or from some of the notes from other folks, but it was evidently cut out of cardboard of a bigger picture.
Yeah, it's not described in the story prior to that. Just suddenly there it is, like the Deus Ex Machina.
Well, she's the good-looking woman of a prominent man, so she's probably been in the paper or another.
Well, not just that, but there were pictures of prominent social people, and she would have been one of them, in photographers' stores, and they were for sale.
Oh yes, as we saw in The Adventure of Charles Augustus Milverton,
Exactly.
at the end, where Holmes recognizes the person who killed Milverton in the front of one of those shops.
Right.
So as the wife of an up and coming government person, she's pretty, she might very well have been in somebody's window.
Might happen. Any other comments?
I once wrote a poem. It's been forgotten by everyone but me, but the first line goes like this: Lestrade, with his panties in a wad, over who's to get the credit for the crimes that will ensue. He hated it that Sherlock always got the credit.
Yeah,
an interesting guy.
True. Oh, here's a comment. I was looking at the historical. This is Doylist, not Watsonian, but from a Doylist point of view, I was wondering to what they were referring to. If this was like the Daily Telegraph affair, this was published before the Daily Telegraph business, where Wilhelm II was interviewed and said very inflammatory things, but it was after the Kruger telegram when when there was the Jameson raid of some British folks into the Republic of the Transvaal, trying to set off a revolution there and hopefully set off a war that would bring it into the British Empire. And it was repelled by the folks in the Republic of the Transvaal. And against the advice of his ministers, Wilhelm II sent a telegram to the president of the Transvaal, congratulating him on repelling the evil British people and referring to the German Empire as a friendly power who he implied might be helping them out against the British. And this led to a major diplomatic incident and was a few years before this story. So it's probably, if you take a Doylist view, it's probably the specific inspiration for this.
Mm-hmm.
One more comment about bad light on person. I'd say that Hope Trelawney is really in a bad light. If he's stupid enough to take such a valuable document home in a box that could be just taken out of his hands on the street, let alone stolen out of his room.
Right.
That should have been kept at the government offices, which was surely a lot more secure in the first place. So I can't imagine him getting a promotion after this.
In all fairness, apparently these boxes do go home with these people because they work at night as well as during the day, and they need their information to go home with them. So they carry around their papers. Now, where the Queen or the King has them, there's probably a bodyguard involved. With the others, it's just dumb luck. emphasis on dumb.
Yeah. We saw something similar with The Adventure of the Barrel Cornet.
Exactly.
All right, keep moving here. There were some why nots that just stood out, and have always stood out to me on this story. It's so I understand they were reluctant to involve the police, but you have the government at your disposal, and I can't help but think after the murder, would there not have been some effort to search the house for the letter? You know, even though you think it's probably gone with the murderer, which would be, you know, probably the first thought, but it's so important. Why take a chance? And you know, why not search the house, find some way to search the house without tipping off the police? And then along that same vein, why not still visit the other two? Sure, it's not a big you know, it's hard to believe it would be a coincidence that he would get murdered, but what if it is? What if one of the other two had actually had the letter? So, and I know you have the constraints of keeping the story length and, you know, the literary pieces of it, but it surely seems like you would have some kind of follow-up on the other two that Holmes had mentioned earlier. Just a quick reference on the adaptations. The Granada with Jeremy Brett has a very loyal adaptation of this. There's very few changes, and some of the changes are quite amusing. Peter Cushing was also in an adaptation of this, but that has been lost. And I find that very sad. I would really have liked to have seen Peter Cushing's in this. And then there were, of course, many radio adaptations. I've listened to this, I don't know how many times, with different adaptations. Three that I would point out. There were two written by Edith Meiser, both for the radio production that you're familiar with. You can find those on the Old Time Radio collection just about anywhere on the web. And then there's the Imagination folks that did a modern, not a modernization of it, but they recorded it here recently. And you can find that at their website.
By the way, Edith Meiser's, all her files are in the Sherlock Holmes collections at Minnesota. So it's an interesting walk through all that she's done. There's some audio there too.
Wonderful. Hey, I want to make a pilgrimage there someday.
Well, you need to plan to come up in July. It's the 50th anniversary of the Sherlock Holmes collections, and there's some great speakers. I'm not one of them. I am a speaker, but I'm not one of the great ones. But I will be there, so we're looking forward to that.
All right, and I want to offer you something that's, again, how my crazy mind works. Is it my imagination, or is it a trick of Dole? You know, this is the second stain, which is obviously two. There were two letters of consequence, both written impulsively. There were two wives. There were two politicians, two visitors, two households with two servants, and two policemen, and maybe two stories of two stains, if some of the folks that study Sherlock are right. So what do you think? You think Dole embedded a little trick there, or you think it was just all coincidence?
Coincidence.
Probably so. But that's how my weird mind works.
There are two protagonists with Doyle, Holmes and Watson. So
I think Doyle had a bag of tricks, like hidden rooms that he finds by measuring them in Sonnet 4 and in the Golden Pince-Nez and the Norwood Builder. So there are things he pulled out of his, I guess, his whatever his thought was. He's just writing a story, and he just sort of came out, I believe.
Good job.
Thank you. I will be sending out sometime this week. So those have known me to give a discussion before, I like to do crossword puzzles. Crossword puzzles don't work very well on Zoom meetings. So I will send out a PDF of the crossword puzzle sometime this week.
Now, all of you that visit our website need to know that we have a section called replay. And in that, we put the notes of the speaker, like today's speaker is Jeff. Jeff will send me all his notes, his PowerPoint, whatever. And that'll be over in replay. So once the month is done, on the schedule, we pull up February, which is Drew and doing the Naval Treaty. Once again, that's not your naval, Drew, it's the Naval Treaty. Never mind. But then all the notes,
Sorry to talk over you.
Go into the replay. So when you go to the website, if you want to pick up any presentation that's been made before, then it will be there in their notes. So I encourage all of you who do a presentation to have some kind of notes for us to put into the website. Okay.
Unfortunately, I have to run. I'm sorry I can't stay longer. I wasn't sure how long I was going to be able to be here, but I hope to attend another meeting of this group. So farewell for now.
Adios. See you, Olivia.
Thanks, Olivia.
And for those who have joined us in the notes part, if you're not on our email list, if you will communicate it back to us, either if you want to just put a note in here on this conversation, or go to our website. Jim is easy to find. I guess all of us have contacts there, so please let us know your email so we can add it in. Next month we do have Drew speaking on the Naval Treaty, and it will certainly be he will offer a challenging view of it, thorough and scholarly. So we look forward to that. Jeff, you have treated us to a delightful afternoon of conversation and getting to play the game. So thank you for what you've done today.
You're most welcome.
Amen.
Great job, Jeff.
Yay, verily.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Before we close, is there anything else that needs to be said and spoken?
Sandy has a couple of limericks for us. Sandy?
Oh, perfect.
Being as this is second stain, you're getting a double limerick.
Of course. There's another two, right?
We've read something like this before. Is it special? Take it home through your door. Someone then takes the thing. Here 'twas writ by a king, and ends up in a hole in the floor. The twist here, it's a lady naive, and a spy with blackmail up his sleeve. His wife stabs to the heart. The lady turns smart, and the letter she gets to retrieve.
Great.
Okay.
If some of you don't know who Sandy Cozen is, let me share something about her. I met her at the Algonquin Hotel, in the bar, I guess, maybe not.
No, in the lobby, which was
in the lobby. Sorry,
which is where we were all drinking anyway.
There you go.
Jim, I cannot believe you just said you picked up Sandy in a bar in New York.
Well, I've got to be honest here. I was hitting on all the women, and she was the handiest, so to speak.
Oh wow.
But she lives in New Jersey. She is not going anymore to the weekend. It's just too hard to get to. But she has been a friend forever and has been my right hand on the Welcome Homes discussion group. It's come and gone. When Ron Critter was doing it from Minneapolis, from Milwaukee, we would have 1,200 letters going back and forth a month. It was just unbelievable. Now we'd probably be lucky if we have 100, but that's because I'm in charge of it and I've got other things to do. But Sandy has been there all along, I guess 10 or 15 years. I don't know how long, but thank you for all that you've done for us on that.
Oh, I think it's more than that, but yeah, it's been a while. You've been a good friend, Jim.
Good.
Well, again, thank you all for being here. We've enjoyed it.
I would like to, one second, I would like to read you all a poem by Vincent Starrett of the BSI 221B Baker Street. Here dwell together still two men of note who never lived and so can never die. How very near they seem, yet how remote. That age before the world went all awry. But still the game's afoot for those with ears attuned to catch the distant view. Halloo. England is England still, for all our fears. Only those things the heart believes are true. A yellow fog swirls past the window pane. At night descends upon this fabled street. A lonely hansom splashes through the rain. The ghostly lamps fail at 20 feet. Here, though the world explode, these two survive, and it will always be 1895.
Thanks, Gail.
Here, here.
Hey, Billy.
Thank you.
Billy, this is Drew. I just want to give a shout out to Sandy and to Dory Nash. Old friends of mine, too. That's it.
Well, thank you all. Gail, thank you for closing our meeting out. Our guests today and our new members today, thank you for joining us. Hopefully we will be together in February for our meeting. Drew will guide us through the naval treaty. We will be at Corky's in Brentwood for those that can get here. For those that can't, I think we're going to do our best to have it zoomed again. So thank you all, and I hope to see you next month. Stay warm and stay safe.
Now,
Bye. See you
don't
in
sign off.
February.
Don't sign off yet, okay? Stay tuned, because I have a presentation on John Bennett Shaw that I've been working on. And I want you to see that before we go. It's a video. It's actually a PowerPoint, but it shows like a movie. And if you have questions, write them down. There won't be any breaks in it. It's not a slide-by-slide thing. It's a movie, actually, is what it is. So I'm going to bring it up now, and it's called How John Bennett Shaw Became the Heinz Sloan of Our Age. Are you all ready? Be sure and mute everyone. I'm going to bring it up here. Are we ready for this, Jeff?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Share screen. Now, make sure that I clear everything out that I need to. I want to just
Before you actually do the sharing, make sure you click on the use audio down there there's a little button on the bottom.
how do I get rid of the oh, I can do speaker only view, right? Okay, share screen, share sound.
Yeah.
Okay. It says optimized for video clip. Do I need that or not?
Not really. That's
No.
usually if you're showing a movie more.
Okay. Now here's the thing. Embedded in this PowerPoint presentation is about a 3-minute video clip of John Shaw. This is 1991. Remember that he died in 1994, and he died just before he turned 81. So it looks old, and he gets around. He has to cough every now and then. And I'm going to kick the sound up when he comes in because it fades a little bit right there. But here comes the video, and I hope this shows up for everyone. Okay, hang on just a second. Here we go.
the blotter, the collector. I have 25,000 Holmes items in my library, so people bring me, I go back with a suitcase full of stuff. I collect anything Holmes, good or bad, indifferent, vulgar, obscene, anything. Religious. I have a manuscript that compares Holmes to Christ favorably.
mother says that she's dead to us all.
We have this traditional memorial to Moriarty, which is appropriate both to the subject and the city, which is a vacant lot with a manure pile. And we have deposits sent by various societies. The worst smelling, incidentally, came from Vermont, goose manure. But the king of Saudi Arabia sent us 5 pounds of his personal camel droppings by diplomatic pouch. And it got here in 3 days. And we acted upon it almost immediately.
Okay.
These foreign languages, 54 languages. And I do count that. It's as valuable as Esperanto, which is up here. The bottom row are notebooks of pictures. God, I found out in there I had a Christmas card paste up of William Gillette. He was doing for his own Christmas card. I'd forgotten I had it. This is theater, radio, television. The bottom row are the Granada scripts. I did a small favor for them when they first started, and they sent me all the scripts. And I have the scripts of the next 6. So these children's books and comics down through here. And it's an unseemly mess. They were alphabetized, but and this is all Sesame Street here, or here. And these are arranged by countries. I have comics from Greece, and South America, and Germany, and France, and so on. These are referenced down here. And this is a book I want you to look at later, because it's a book about my, includes my Touchnitch editions of that belong to the Tsarina. And these are Big Street Journal's Christmas cards on the top shelf, double rows, Sherlock Christmas card. This is a complete Baker Street regular, complete strand through 1930. And took a long time to complete the strand. I needed one issue. I finally found it. And these are things that are too big. I refuse to saw a book off. This is the one I did incidentally in Japan. Did you ever get one of those, John?
I have it for you to sign.
You got one?
Right.
Gee, they're hard to get in this country. But these are artworks, and these are advertising. A lot of these are out in the storage room. Odds and various things. The canon starts actually here. These are big. This is the canon in English. There are about 2,400 books in this section. And over here are the current periodicals. I keep them only a year or so in here. But starting here and going across here and some up there are pamphlets. Things, little things by Sherlockians. I have all the Bliss Austin, all those things. And this whole end of the room, including around the desk, are things about homes. Essays, poems, pictures, scandalous things like this.
Hawkins made a great video. John Bennett Shaw. Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Oh, pardon
me. Well done, Jim.
Very good.
Boy, that is great.
Huzzah.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, very
Hopkins.
good.
Hey.
Oh boy, yeah.
Thank you. Now you guys know Rudy Altergott, our brand new BSI guy.
How's everybody doing today? I hope it's warmer by you. It's warming up here in lovely Chicago. This is not my library. I wish it were. But, Jim, thank you for inviting me and thank you for all you do. I never had the chance to meet John Bennett Shaw, the Hans Sloane of his age. I am privileged to have you as a friend, the Hans Sloane of my age.
Good,
So,
thank you. That's why I did this. People need to know about Shaw and can keep his memory green, whatever I can do.
Boy.
Well, Jim, thank you very much. And again, to all, thank you for being here. And everybody keep up the good work and let's get together in February.
You bet. You bet. You bet.
All right.
Thank you.
Can't wait.
Without objection.